this video, we're going to be taking a look at Commander Fox in his Phase 1 armor, based upon his appearance from the Clone Wars animated series. So he was one of the very first Clone Wars action figures that was released at the time. At least here in the US, he was a Target exclusive, and then overseas in like the UK and of course Canada, or at least I think between Canada and the UK we're on the same page. He was a Toys R Us exclusive. And I think there was some interesting deal with this guy through the UK specifically, where like if you bought so many action figures or spent a certain pound amount, you would just get this guy for free. Or it may have been the holographic Grievous, or both. I think it was one of those two. It's a particular type of deal that we don't really see in today's world, at least for the Hasbro Star Wars line. But that was a pretty good deal. But if you lived in the US and you had to get this guy at Target, believe it or not, he was $12.99 at the time, in a market where the average action figure retailed for, I think it was $7.99 actually. So seeing a $12.99 action figure at the time was kind of a big deal. Of course, nowadays it doesn't look like much, but you know, it's especially for this action figure, there's really not a whole lot of uniqueness about him besides the paint. He's just a straight repaint of the Captain Rex mold, or the standard clone trooper mold that we were getting at the time. And then I think his helmet is just a repaint as well. I think that might be the helmet that comes with the Obi-Wan action figure early in the line as well. So other than being just a straight repaint, there's really nothing new about him. So it's kind of interesting that Hasbro at the time justified a $12.99 price. I think some of that might be attributed to because he came with a star case, which is something we don't really see anymore with from Hasbro Star Wars. At the time, every once in a while they would release an action figure that has a star case. The VOTC line did that, and the Saga VOTC line as well, and then of course Commander Fox, and I think there may have been a few other ones here and there. So that might have been why they justified the markup, because you're paying for the plastic in that case. But still, it's a very nice action figure. I'm glad I own it. I actually did not get this until, I think it was 2017 actually. So, interesting story about this. I've wanted this guy ever since 2008, and I distinctively recall seeing him at retail at the time. I did not get him though. I ended up getting other clones instead, and I didn't live near a Target, so he wasn't easily accessible to me, and of course at that time I wasn't really getting on eBay and purchasing the action figures. But between 2011 and 2017, I would bid for him on eBay every now and then. The first few auctions I ended up losing, and then finally in 17 I finally got him. And he's not that expensive an action figure anyway. I just didn't want to spend more than maybe like $20 for him, that's about the price I ended up getting him for. And even to this day in 2023, he's still a pretty decent price on eBay. You could probably get him in the $20 to $30 range, brand new even, which is probably one of the more affordable animated Clone Wars characters, especially for clones. A lot of those prices have shot up in price over the years. So it's if you're looking for affordable animated clones for your collection, this is definitely a great candidate for you to look into. What else can I say about Fox? Of course, I know Commander Fox isn't exactly everyone's favorite. He had that incident with Fives, and then I think in the comics he isn't too liked either. But personally, I'm a fan of Commander Fox. I think he's a good soldier, I'll say that. He definitely does his duty, follows his orders, and he definitely is not emotional, I'll say, in his decision making. He's definitely purely logical. But being a commander in the Coruscant Guard and being a soldier, would you really expect him to be any different? Of course, I know we let our personal feelings get in the way of how we view certain characters, but from purely a soldier standpoint and being a commander of the Coruscant Guard, he does everything to a T. I know he has that incident with Darth Vader in one of his last comics. I'm not sure of the details behind that, but perhaps he slipped up there. Something to look into, and I hope to get around to reading that at some point. But Commander Fox is a good soldier, so you can't really fault him for that. So let's just go ahead and take a closer look at this guy. So if you've seen some of my other clone reviews of the Clone Wars characters, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into with this guy anyway. There's also a battle pack that was released at the time that included standard clone troopers and Coruscant Guard armor, and is specifically based upon that scene where Padme is captured by Zero the Hutt in the Clone Wars movie. I do not have that pack at this time. I do hope to get that at some point. That's one I've been eyeing for 15 plus years now at this point. And occasionally I do look it up on eBay, but I just haven't found a price for it that I really like yet. So the helmet sculpt is good. He does not have a removable helmet, which is perfectly fine because we have yet to see Commander Fox without his helmet on in any Star Wars media as far as I'm concerned. So we have no idea exactly what his head looks like, or if he has a different hairstyle or anything like that. He has that nice kind of a brownish, reddish, maroon color for his armor. Slightly different than many of the other Coruscant Guard. Lieutenant Thyre, who I reviewed previously, has I think a little bit of a brighter red. In fact, I'll just bring them out right now. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit of difference in the red color between these two. And of course, the pattern is different as well. Does have the Coruscant Guard emblem on his chest here, which is detailed nicely. Looks really good. He has some interesting designs on his arms here. Lots of red on his legs. And he does have his comma. And in this case, Fox does not have a pauldron. And he never did. I still have that elastic band around his weapon here, although it's starting to look a little brittle, so probably here in the next couple of years that's going to be breaking apart. But for the time being, I'll leave that in hand. Well, in terms of articulation, he is super articulated all around. He has the ball joint the head, and hinge shoulders, elbows, and wrists. Wrists are exactly how you want them. This one hinges in and out, and this one's up and down. Hinge at the torso, then swivel hips, and hinge knees and hinged ankles. In terms of accessories, he comes exactly with his essentials. This little DC-15 long rifle here. Pretty standard, nothing new about that. And he does have the two pistols here, which do fit securely in his holster. And he can hold them decently, I think. Never really used the pistols before. Obviously, this hand's not very accommodating for the holding the pistols too well. That is an option for you. And it does stay in this holster well. So pretty basic release. It's just something extra that Hasbro did on the side. Just taking some existing parts and making a new clone out of it. One thing about this Commander Fox as well is he does have a bad habit of yellowing. Mine, fortunately, has not yellowed really. There is just a slight off, it's slightly off here around the crotch and at the abdomen there. But you only really see that in this bright light that he's in. Being on the shelf, I've never really noticed it before. Hopefully that doesn't get any worse. That's the problem with a lot of these animated Clone Wars action figures, especially the early ones, is mostly around the crotch and in the abdomen there, they yellow severely. I hope someday, I know hydrogen peroxide is one thing that can kind of take out that yellowing, but oftentimes it comes back and it comes back even worse than before. Hopefully at some point someone invents a solution or something that is good to de-yellow an action figure or plastic one time, then it's good for forever basically. There's an antenna on his helmet there. Fin. Suppose this is what Commander Cody's helmet would have looked like if Hasbro did not do a removable helmet for him. But because he has that removable helmet, it's a little bit on the wider side, I guess. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I can tell you about Commander Fox here. I will do one more comparison of him real quick with his Phase 2 gear. Here's what they look like side by side. The Black Series also has the Phase 2 Fox, and I do have the action figure as well. I'll be sure to review him at some point. Personally, I'm a bigger fan of Fox's Phase 1 armor. I think it looks a lot better. Hot Toys is actually getting a Phase 1 Commander Fox here soon. I do want to get that. Unfortunately, I missed the pre-order window for him, and he's just on the waitlist category now. But I'm sure I'll be able to get one at some point. And oftentimes, once those start coming in stock on Sideshow, oftentimes I go to the add to cart, and perhaps by then I'll be able to get one. And of course, Phase 2 Fox here will get his own review at some point. And I've had this one actually a lot longer than this one. I got this one back at the time he was released in 2013, I think it was, 12 or 13. I actually managed to find him at retail, which at the time he was pretty hard to find. But anyways, would I recommend Commander Fox for your collection? I totally would, especially if you're a fan of Clone Troopers, if you're a fan of the Clone Wars animated line. I think he's a great character to add, and he's fairly affordable even to this day. As far as Clone Troopers are concerned, he's still in a range that I think most people will be comfortable paying for. And of course, he's a member of the Coruscant Guard, so he has a unique design about him. So if you're looking to build up your Clone Trooper army, I think he's a great candidate to add. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more in the future. There will always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate all your support. Check out some links in the description if you have not done so already. And as always, thanks for watching.